All right, folks. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you happen to be. We are here to talk about how to use Confluence whiteboards for project managers. And I can see some folks are already in the chat, which is great to see. Heike, I hope I'm saying that right. Welcome from Germany. Chad, Emily, Sarah, of course, always good to see you all. We're going to give folks just a few moments to jump on in because we're right at the start of the time. But please take a moment and think of any questions that you have around Confluence whiteboards, particularly related to project management. However, I'll take any questions about whiteboards. I found them to be a pretty useful tool, although I'll talk about my experience with just whiteboards in general as we go. My preference, spoiler alert, is a big physical one, and I'll talk about how I use all of those. Tushar, welcome, my friend. Ada, good to see you. Sachin, always a pleasure. About 20 folks, give folks another couple minutes. There was some interesting chat protocol I heard where I think it was ICQ or some of the early chat platforms. Whenever you joined the platform, you would just say good morning, and whenever you left, you just said good night. Didn't matter what time it was. I always thought that was an interesting way to handle everything. All right, folks, we are going to get started. Again, Confluence whiteboards for project managers. I'm going to have some slides, but I've mixed it up a little. I'm not just going to start, I'm not just going to talk about slides for about 20 minutes and then do hands-on. We're going to be kind of going back and forth. And I've broken up the content. I've broken up the features and things I'm going to talk about in whiteboards between different scenarios. And Tushar, I did see there was another conflicting session on Jira. This one will certainly be recorded, my friend, so please feel free to pop over to the other one if you need to. So a quick way of introduction. My name is Rob. I've had a career in IT, mainly in systems. And one of the first systems I worked in, I actually mapped out how a project was created. It was an industrial system. And I ended up with a printout that was probably 20 feet long. And someone looked at me and said, don't bother doing that. It's going to change. But I had mapped out how you requisition a part and then how a purchase order is made and what a purchase request is and all of these things. So all of these crazy different things. I'm also following folks who are now watching two streams at the same time. That is fascinating. Sarah, I'm very curious how well you'll be able to maintain information from both of them. Now, so I had to map out a lot of systems as I went. And as I've gone through that, I've used different platforms. My favorite is still a physical whiteboard. I've had some jobs where I had a whiteboard directly behind my desk that was about 10 feet tall. And that was my favorite experience because you could just expand your thoughts and just kind of fill it up. And then, of course, erase it or hope that the custodial staff didn't erase it later. But I like whiteboards because they let us visualize things. They let us see our ideas on paper and let other people kind of point at them and help us expand them. Kima, good to see you, my friend. I've been using Atlassian since about 2013. Whiteboards are relatively new, though. They're maybe 2 years old. And I'm also an Atlassian certified practitioner. So I have a number of certifications through Atlassian, and I train on a number of those on Mondays and Fridays if you're interested in learning more. Now, this is on YouTube, of course, but I want to make sure we can interact. Please use the chat. Many of you have found it already. Mel Bugai, I hope it's for a good reason, and I'm sorry if I brought back any anxiety. I haven't had to deal with POs and purchase requests for a while. Please interact in the chat. That's the best way to go back and forth. There are some other ways in the chat, though, that we'll be able to interact. You will see me drop in polls. And I'll drop one in right now. This is just another way for us to connect. So do you like using whiteboards of any kind? I think I can put up to 4 answers in there, so I'll do my best to put in polls to help people just respond and be part of the group. The other thing I can do are ask questions, and you'll see me do this where I'll start a Q&A. Please feel free to put questions under that. You just need to click whatever the question is. Do you like using whiteboards or whatever I drop in? And that will collect all the questions for me, so I'll get them all in one spot. This will make it easier for me to answer them all at once. You can also, of course, drop your questions in chat. And I am honestly going back and forth. I'd love to hear what people think. But putting them in chat means other people can help answer them. They'll see them. And that's been a great thing about these sessions. If you haven't, please subscribe, please like, and please share. I am now essentially a professional content creator. I've changed my career a little bit. And the easiest way you can support me and help other people find this is hit the like button. So I'm going to be that stereotypical YouTuber and just ask you to like and subscribe a couple of times. But as soon as you realize you like this, please hit that like button. It's just a little thumbs up. And Sarah, I have embedded a whiteboard into my Confluence page. Not a physical one, though. So, a quick agenda. We're going to talk about some concepts, and we'll start out just with what are whiteboards and some tips and tricks. We're not going to go over every feature in whiteboards. We're going to kind of split up the features as we go through some different scenarios. Then we're going to talk about these scenarios. There are things that project managers may find themselves doing. Things like, hey, I've got to do a retrospective, or we've got to do sprint planning. And when we do this, I'm going to need all of y'all's help figuring this out. So I'm going to open up a whiteboard to anonymous access, and then I kind of expect you all will come in and help me brainstorm or help me do things. I expect that you'll keep things clean and civil. And then we'll do this hands-on. We'll brainstorm a project. We'll do a sprint plan. We'll do a retrospective, and we'll do a system map, just so we can all see what it looks like. Chad, I completely agree we need some way to tag or label whiteboards. All right, so my first... Looks like 100% of us have used whiteboards of any kind. My next poll question is just, have you used Confluence whiteboards? And if you have or haven't, please also feel free to drop a comment with your favorite or least favorite thing about it. Vivian, good to see you. We also have a Discord channel. And one thing, Sarah, I don't know if you're in there. I would love for you to share some of those ideas, kind of the things that you've been doing, embedding whiteboards and whiteboards and whiteboards. I think that could be good. Now, whiteboards are just a visual collaborative space in Confluence. Again, they are a virtual version, a digital version of a whiteboard. There are many other systems like this. For example, I used Lucidchart for a number of years. I used Visio. There's Miro, there's Figma, there's Draw.io. Throw a rock and you're going to hit one of these things online. Now, the advantage for me with a Confluence whiteboard over all of these, it's embedded in Confluence. It's included in my cloud subscription. So it's not in Data Center yet. And there are some limitations on the free and standard plan. But this means my entire team has access to them. My entire team can make them. They can edit them. They can view them. And even better, they're in context. I can just put that whiteboard in my project plan or under the right page or next to the thing, and it's right there in the same spot they always go to get information. This is that's a huge benefit over things like Lucidchart where I had to go get a license. And that was a big challenge for me in prior jobs where I was the only one on my team who could build the diagrams because I was the only one with the license. So having it directly in, Chad, they must be listening to me. Having it in Confluence has a lot of advantages over other similar systems. It also integrates very easily with other Atlassian programs, mainly Jira. And we'll see what that looks like here. And we have Atlassian AI if you're on premium or higher. And so those are helpful. And those are some tools that help us improve how we work. Now, some quick orientation. Up in the top left, you have your name. Please, please, please always put in a name. Don't be me. I have a lot of untitled whiteboards with a date. The annoying thing for me when you make a whiteboard, it doesn't prompt you for the name. Unlike a page, it's just going to default in the date. There's a toolbar in the top right and a zoom in the bottom right as well. Oh, Michelle, see if I can dig up your question. That's where if you can click on the what questions do you have in the chat, that'll help keep it all in one spot so I can easily see it. But Misha, let me scroll up in a screen or two. At the bottom is another toolbar. I call this the fun part because that's where all of our diagram options are. And this is mainly what we'll be using to interact and build the whiteboard. So once we all get in there and I'll give you all the opportunity to come in and join me, we'll all have the option to add shapes, to add connectors, to add things. Now, a couple tips and tricks that I've been using. If you hold down your right mouse button, you can grab and move around the canvas. If you don't do that, it's just going to be your mouse moving. So if you have a particularly large whiteboard, one that expands more than a screen, Hold down that right mouse button and you can kind of drag around the canvas and look around. Shift 1 will also force everything to fit on your screen. Now you can click on zoom and zoom to fit or zoom to selection, but I like to use the keyboard for things so I don't have to move my hands as much. I'm incredibly lazy when it comes to that. So Shift 1 will just zoom everything onto the screen regardless of how much stuff. And then holding your Control or Command key and scrolling your mouse wheel will zoom in and out. So I found these very useful as my whiteboards grow, as my team adds stuff outside of the initial area. I can easily navigate and get around without having to fumble too much and figure out what's going on. All right, before I ask this next question, we had about 70% of us have used whiteboards, which is pretty good. Kind of an open question. How do you visually collaborate with your team? And I'll go find Misha's question up top. Misha, using Confluence whiteboards for program planning, could you let me know what PI means in this case, Misha? For 5 to 10 different Jira programs. We're going to do I think one of our scenarios is sprint planning, Misha. If you remind me when we're in there, I can talk about planning across programs, but you can also visually do that. You'll have more in the whiteboard because you'll have multiple programs, but you can use whiteboards to visualize more than a single project or a single piece of Jira that way. So here's our first scenario. We have just begun our project, and we need to brainstorm tasks, risks, project members. We just got to figure things out. So we're going to talk about a few features that will help us do this, and then we're going to pop over into a Confluence whiteboard, and I'm going to open it up to anonymous access and let all of you help me. Quick reminder, if you like this, please push that little thumbs up button and like it. Oh, gotcha, Misha. I am familiar with SAFE. I haven't personally done it, so I'll try and answer that. I also might recommend popping into our Discord if you aren't in there already and asking in there. That'll make sure I don't lose your question, but also a lot of other people are in Discord. I got about 160 other really smart folks. The first thing are stickies. And sticky notes are just a virtual sticky note. I don't have a better way to describe it. They are where I put my ideas, I brainstorm. They're also what you would like drop a comment on. You can convert these into a Jira ticket, and this is what the AI interacts with. So in our brainstorming, we're going to use a lot of stickies to represent our ideas and what we want to do. Now, there's a recent update. You can see the author of a sticky, and that's what that little squiggle is. Whoops, sorry. That's what this little squiggle is for, and you can change the color. So when I'm doing a whiteboard by myself, I might keep it all just the same color and kind of the same sticky. But when I have a team, I might give team members different colors or maybe different ideas. All the risks are red. All of the tasks are blue, that kind of thing. And then I tend to keep the author turned off just so it doesn't clutter things up. But if I come into a whiteboard that I didn't create, I'll open it up and just see, hey, oh, Sarah made this one, Gabrielle made that one, Emily made this one. And then we have sections. This is just another way to visually organize the whiteboard. They let you easily group things. In this case, we'll have one section for risks, a different section for ideas, a different section for team. But there are some additional features in sections that we'll talk about as we go. So we'll build on what do sections do beyond just make it visually distinct from a different part of the whiteboard. And I find sections are important for larger whiteboards because my eyes kind of quickly glaze over when there's a lot of objects, a lot of things just on the screen, and it makes it hard to see specific things or understand what's going on when there's too much visual clutter. And that might just be a Rob problem. And we're going to teleport into Confluence Cloud Premium. So we are in Confluence Cloud Premium. Everything I show you will be available in Confluence Cloud Premium, Confluence Cloud of any flavor, except the artificial intelligence stuff. That's only in Premium and higher. If you're on free or standard, there are limits to the number of whiteboards an individual can create. Otherwise, everything I do can be done in any version of Cloud. So to make a whiteboard, I can create it under another page if I need to. I'll just make it up at the top level of the page, space, and I'll click Whiteboard. I somehow knew you would have a lot of these, Liz. Chad has an interesting use case, using sections and adding post-its for tags. Not sure if that works. My challenge with not being able to label a whiteboard is labeling helps with search and other features in Confluence. And it's like metadata about the whiteboard. It just doesn't exist yet. And if folks are curious why Chad's name is green and has a little star, he's a channel member, so he chose to support me by being a coffee sponsor. So please consider that as a way to support what I'm doing. When you first make a whiteboard, there are some templates. I personally don't use these all that much. I'll encourage you, if you're looking at them, to just take a look and see what exists. They can be a good way to start. So if you have some writer's block and you're not quite sure, you could start with any of these. And the neat thing about most of these, when you add them, there'll be some helpful tips on how to use the thing. So just a quick call out and reminder that we can use these templates. I'm going to start with a blank one though. And the first thing I'm going to do is name it. And I'm going to name it because, again, I am awful at naming whiteboards, and otherwise this will be called unnamed forever. Liz wants me to look at the Agile templates. I guess I can pop in there real quick. If you close them, you can open them up under this 3 dots menu. Well, that didn't help. Practicing Agile. Here we go. Maybe we'll use the 4Ls retrospective template as we go. Now, we cannot create whiteboard templates like we can make a page template. So that's something that hopefully will come soon. But first things first, I need to get my project team in here. So the link that I dropped will bring you to this whiteboard. So if you want, please feel free to follow it. And please feel free to help me brainstorm. I'm going to add some sections. So I'm going to have one big old section just called team members. And this might be who we need on the team. And I'll hold my right mouse button and scroll around a little. And I'll have another big old section called risks. And maybe above that, I'll have another big old section called tasks. Oh, and we've already got, what is this? An anonymous beaver. Welcome. And then to add stickies, I'll just either hit the S button on my keyboard, or I can just click and drag off of this menu and just put in a sticky note. Now I'll zoom in, I'll hold down the control button and scroll. And then for a task, I might give an idea. I might have something like improve lighting. And in this one, I might have purchase supplies. Oh, we've got an alligator. I've got 4 other folks in here. A turkey, a chimp. I'm always curious what random animals show up. One thing you'll notice about the whiteboard, it's effectively unlimited in size. So it's easy to get lost. So again, a Shift 1 will bring you back to a screen that shows everything on the whiteboard. So feel free to zoom around, help out. I'll just keep adding in. I've got some team members. On my project team, I need Liz. On my project team, I need Chad. On my project team, I'm just adding names from the chat here, Emily H. Who else? Oh, we got Kima. And then maybe for risks, I'll add some project risks just to have some things. The server could crash. I don't know, what are the good project risks? I lose the team. I run out of coffee. All kinds of things. And so when I'm starting a project, I typically ideate on my own. I'll go and just brainstorm by myself. And I'll ask my team to do the same thing. And then I'll bring them all together. Sometimes I'll do the sections like this. And I can see someone change the color. Other times I'll just say, hey folks, just start throwing sticky notes on the whiteboard. Kind of like how Anonymous Robot has added a shape over here. I can't tell if that's an acronym or a person, Bob. So we might have people just adding shapes in one corner. And I'm just going to start adding names to these. And one way we can brainstorm that is to group these. So Alex and Bob are my technical resources. Sally is my sales rep. I've got someone over here who's a documentarian. Wow. What is the word I'm looking for? Technical writer. Thank you. So that's another way I can use a whiteboard instead of these sections. I like to use the sections because it visually groups them more easily. And one big difference between the shapes that we did over here, the circles and the sticky notes, is AI will interact or can interact with these. So someone likes ketchup chips. I'm going to drop a quick poll. Just about ketchup chips, because they are such an important thing. So with these sticky notes, if you have Atlassian Intelligence, you can use it to do things like generate similar ideas. So there are some additional things we can do with the sticky note that we cannot do with the shapes, unfortunately. So just something to keep in mind as you're considering, what do I use for my brainstorming or my ideas? If you're using sticky notes, you can do things like insert a whole bunch of other ideas around ketchup chips that are just inserted. You can also convert these into Jira tickets. So as I'm brainstorming with these tasks, I might just click, yeah, that's a great idea. We definitely need this to be some kind of ticket, and I'm going to put it in jQuil team. This is an account problem, I guess. And so right here from the whiteboard, as I have these ideas, I can convert the sticky note into the Jira ticket. And you'll see it now looks different. So as part of my brainstorming, I would come in here and I would just convert the tickets that I need and leave the ones that I don't. And right away, I have a very good artifact for later when I do my retrospective, when I go take a look at my sprint of what's going on. I can see folks have found the stamps, which I'll talk about later. We've got some stuff going on up here in tasks. So right away, I can see my team is working fairly well. And I can turn on the author. It's going to be anonymous for pretty much everyone. Oh, Kieran, thank you for signing your work. And added an exterior border. I haven't done that one before. Huh. We are going to come back to this exact whiteboard in our next scenario. So feel free to keep poking around in here. What's going on down here? This color is atrocious. It's a yellowish greenish, like a pea soup color, I guess. Excuse me. So this is one way to use the whiteboard just for brainstorming. I have also done this with a physical whiteboard where everyone gets a bunch of sticky notes and puts them up on the board. Okay, about 20 people have voted, 22. We still have ketchup chip, and about half of us don't even know what ketchup chips are. I have some work to do. It's an English and Canadian chip flavor. It's kind of vinegary, a tiny bit sweet, like American, like Heinz ketchup, if you're familiar with that product. It's very good if you can get it. They don't really sell them in the U.S. though. So for those of us stuck in the States, we don't get them. All right, some questions before I keep going. Sachin is wondering, access for whiteboards. Whiteboards, someone added a timer. If I go up to share, whiteboards have the same restrictions as any other piece of content. So if I want, I can restrict this whiteboard just to my project team. I can say they can view it. Or I can say only they can edit it, but everyone can view. So all content in Confluence falls under the same restrictions. And so that's one way I can control it. If it's particularly sensitive, if I only want my project team to see it, I'm not going to restrict it because we have anonymous access on. But I can restrict it just so the team sees it or only certain people. And that's true within the page hierarchy as well. Now, if it's under a page that is view restricted, it will also be view restricted because those inherit down. So if I have a whiteboard I want to expose to everyone, I'll move it out from under that restricted parent. And I can see, I think Anonymous Rabbit was dragging the whole section. If you do that, you'll notice the things in it will follow it. So that's another neat thing about sections. Everything you put on top of them will follow the section as it moves. So Sachin, hope I got to that question. Mel, I love this question. Can we add our own stamps? That is this button along the bottom here. I don't believe so. There are some places in Confluence we can add in our own iconography, which is pretty nifty. I haven't found a way to do that in a whiteboard. So we're kind of just stuck with these, 1625 that the nice people at Atlassian have given us. But we do have other stickers. Is this? No, it doesn't have. Sorry, I went to the plus down here, and there's stickers. Add other stickers, and it's just different packs that Atlassian provides. Like squiggles. Oh, cool little arrows. So unfortunately, we don't have the ability to make our own, although I really like that idea because I could see project teams having a lot of fun with that. So folks, please continue to use that whiteboard. I'm going to pop back into our slides and go to our next scenario or the next thing we're going to use. We got about 30 votes, and still the majority of people don't know what ketchup chips are. Kind of another open-ended question for the team. How do you handle sprint planning? So when your team is getting ready for a sprint, if you're familiar with that concept, like how do you go about that? And just curious to learn, because there's no real wrong way to do it. There are ways that work better for your team or work less good for your team. But just curious how folks do that. And again, a quick shout out. If you haven't already, please like the video if you like it. That helps other people find it, and it's the easiest way to support me. It's just one little click. So in our scenario, we've got our first sprint. We've brainstormed all this stuff. Our team is getting ready to sprint. We need to plan it, though. So we need a few more features and things that'll help us out. Now, I mentioned sections. I mentioned that sections have different things that we can do. The most important thing for this is something like using this create action feature. And this is pretty nifty because it will do something to any work item we drop over the section. In the examples I'll show, we'll use this to reassign the work item to somebody else, and we can use it to change field values. So these are some actions we can take on work items from the whiteboard. And this is something I can't or haven't found out how to do in a Miro, in a Lucidchart, a Draw, etc. If you're looking for different ways to work on your sprints and do other things, please join us in Discord. It's a fun group. So we can use actions on these sections, and we'll do this live in a moment. But we can also pull in work items. You saw me convert a sticky to a work item live. Excuse me. However, we can also use JQL or Jira Search to pull in work items in bulk. I'm seeing a lot of interesting stuff about sprint planning. I like this one, Liz. I thought you meant that it's 4 pointless meetings, 3 of them are neutral, and 1 of them is productive. I don't like to sprint just because I'm lazy in terms of running. I had to run 10 miles once. I've done my time. I tend to sprint plan, though, in Jira. I think I saw someone mention doing it in Jira as well. Mel. Emily H. with lots of caffeine. Yes. Please consider becoming a coffee sponsor of the channel if you want to help me run faster. But again, many ways to do it. Emily. What Emily's referring to is JQL, Jira Query Language, is used to locate tickets in Jira. You'll hear me say it as JQuil, because that's another way to pronounce that acronym. But Emily's keeping me honest here. So we can import these work items, and then they behave just like a sticky or just like an object on the whiteboard. One other shout out, I do need some help getting feedback on these sessions. Someone asked, is this one a series? And I can certainly make this a series on using Confluence for project managers if that's something the group would find beneficial. So I'm going to just drop a quick Google Form survey, and this link will take you straight there. But mostly curious, like what you want to know about, how you think things are going, how I can do better. Mel loves JQuil. I love that. So if you have a moment before or after this, please let me know your feedback on how these are going, what you like about them. And now we're going to teleport directly back into Jira or Confluence. All right. And I can see a whole bunch of other stuff. There's like a helmet over here with a tire or something. I'm just going to hit Shift 1 and fit everything back in. And somehow that was, we got anonymous boar hiding way down here in the corner. I'm going to zoom back in though. So I'm going to select everything here. And then it's, I think, Shift 2 will fit everything I selected back into this. So we've got these sections. I'm going to have a different area. I'm going to put it below this. I'm going to add some text. I'm going to call this Sprint Planning. And that is so tiny. Oh no, go away. And then I'll just make this really big. And I do this because if you're zoomed out, it's much easier to see where sprint planning is. And maybe I'll have one up here called brainstorming. One other fun thing, if you just double click, you'll add a new sticky note. So another shortcut, another quick way to do it. So for my sprint planning, first thing I'm going to do is click on the Jira, import from Jira button. And I'm just going to select these 3 work items. Let's pretend these are all that we would need. I could use a basic search or a JQuil search, Emily, to pull in these work items. But what I'll get are 3 cards that represent these work items. And right away, these are things I can edit. I can change the status just by doing this. And you'll see that updated, and this updates the underlying ticket as well. Now for my sprint planning, what I'll do is I'll do it by assignee. So I need to add some sections. And I just know I'll use Andrew and Rob because I know these people exist in my Jira. And when I do this, I just leave things that are outside of the sections as unassigned. So I just tell my team, hey, if it's not assigned to someone, we got to figure that out. Next, I'll just click on this section. Wait, where is it? Did they get rid of them? Can I not do them because anonymous access? I may have discovered something new, team. So I'm just in a brand new whiteboard without anyone else. I might have to do this. I think I can't do it because of anonymous access. So I've got my own whiteboard here. Please keep playing in that one we're sharing. But I'll demonstrate these actions over here real quick. That was something I didn't know. And now we've all learned something and we're all better for it. I'm going to quickly pull in those same work items. And then all I need to do is click this create action. And I need to tell it what do I want to do when something is put into this section. So I have a site and a project, but I can do things like pick the work type I want to go in. So it looks like which one is this? Let me open this ticket so I can just see the work item type. That is a fix account problem. Of course, our ketchup chips. And then I can pick the field I want to modify when I do something in here. So I want to change the, not the reporter. I want to change the assignee, and I want to change it to Rob. And I'll click Save. And then you'll see it says assignee Robert, and I'll do the same thing for Andrew. And now when I just click and drag these work items into that section, it's going to take that action. It will update the field to match whatever I've put in. And it's telling me right at the top, hey, I've done what you asked. So now if I open up this work item, the assignee will be updated to Andrew. So this is a very quick way. Yep, here's one for Rob. A very quick way to edit my tickets without having to flip back into Jira itself. Budget, a related question. It sounds like what you're asking is, can I have the whiteboard automatically move JT2 into Andrew? If that updates, not right now. Right now we have to do a lot of this manually. Like it'll automatically take action in Jira, but I can't have the whiteboard kind of move things around on my behalf. So that's just something to be aware of. I don't know if they're looking at changing that behavior or if something else will go on with it. But there's a lot of stuff around whiteboards that like I see like that, or I'm like, that'd be really cool. That right now it just doesn't do. So that's how to use the smart sections. And again, you can use them to modify almost any field on the work item. Priority is another common one. But keep this in mind as you're planning, because this for me helped out. It's visual. It's kind of like using your Agile board. But I like this one because my whole team can come in here and we can click and drag and have discussions. You could also use this to assign story points. You could have columns, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8, 13, and then drag tickets around between that. And for me, I find that makes it easier to have a discussion around it. And I hope that got to your question, Budget. Let me know if it didn't for some reason. Hope I'm saying this right. Zapata, is there a way to bring all the current users, contributors to a specific point on the whiteboard? I love that question. I'm back in our shared whiteboard that has 4 or 5 folks in it. I'm unaware of any way to get folks, get their attention. And I'm just quickly checking my different menus. I can hide cursors. That's not quite what I need. But that's a great question. How do I get everyone to know, hey, come to the middle? That's where typically when I'm working on a whiteboard, it's in a shared call. So we're all talking and chatting, or it's, some of us are in the same room kind of thing. Um, but yeah, there's no, hey, I need your attention feature. One thing you might consider is put this timer up, and that will just pop up and get people's attention. So that could be one way to do it. Information? Nope, that doesn't. Oh, Chad. Chad, they exist. We have labels. Whew. Look at that. We can now label whiteboards. I love when I learn things live. So that was our second scenario, the sprint planning. Again, fairly straightforward, but using those smart sections to assign things. Now a very easy question, but how do you organize your knowledge? Vivian got lost, sorry. Vivian, definitely review the recording. The other thing you can do, again, I'll shout out to Discord. Please join us in Discord where you can ask questions. I hang out in there all week. We've got a lot of other great folks. And just a reminder to folks, if you like this, please hit that like button. That lets other people know, hey, this is interesting stuff. We'll help them find it. And consider, supporting the channel in different ways. You can buy a one-time support, a little super or a sticker. And if I get 5 of those, I'll do a live session on using a physical whiteboard as a project manager, which could be interesting. But easiest way is just to hit like. Dia, I hope I'm saying that right. Whiteboards are about 2 years old, maybe 18 months. So not that old. It's cooler than Miro. I will let the team know. Thank you. All right, so now our system is set up. We need to build a system map. And this is a different way of using whiteboards. I use this a lot because I work in systems. And I need to have a visual representation of how it's designed, just so I can go, troubleshoot it or explain how it works to someone else. And so this is another way I use a Confluence whiteboard. I've also done this in Visio, Draw.io, etc. But this is a very important bit of documentation as I work on projects because it will help us understand how things work, onboard new people, etc. Here, we're going to use shapes, which some of you have already discovered in our shared whiteboard. Shapes are mostly good for diagrams. Last I checked, they can't be converted into work items. So they're a little bit different than sticky notes. They have a different purpose, which for me is more a step in a process, to visually break things up. Chad, I'll show you where the labels are shortly. Liz, which part is blasphemy? We're aligned on the ketchup chip thing, my friend. So I use them mainly in systems diagramming to visually differentiate things. Now, we also have connectors. We can draw lines between the shapes to represent things. You can draw lines between any of the objects, or you can just draw a line on the blank whiteboard itself. But I mainly use them to show how a system data flows through a system or how a process works. There's different kind of lines. You'll see different dots and arrows and things. Those can also mean something different. So in my systems diagrams, a triple dot might mean planned integration, whereas a solid line might mean existing integration. Oops, sorry. Oh, I get you, Liz. That's my default, but someone yelled at me once and I stopped doing it. It's weird. Here we are back in our whiteboard. Someone mentioned you can just click on a name and you can go to their cursor. So I can click on Anonymous Tiger and they're hanging out. Oh, down here. Found them. Or I've got DB. I can't, though, have everyone easily follow me. Oh, interesting. A new mind map feature. That's cool. So I'm going to just copy my header, and we're going to go over near Anonymous Fish. Not going to work. Copy, paste. There we go. And I'll zoom in. Chad, up under the little I, the details, is where labels live, apparently. So up under the little I. We can import whiteboards as well. So there's this plus at the bottom. There are some systems we can import from. Mural, whatever that is. I haven't used that one in images. I haven't tried that feature, but that might be useful. Folks already have them. So to start, I'm just going to grab, I don't know, maybe we'll map out an HR system just for giggles. I'll click on the shape and I'll do a square because I like using squares to represent things for some reason. And I'll call this, this is the employee module. I'll zoom in more. I've got a recruiting module. I've got an LMS, a learning management system. I've got payroll. So I've got all these modules that are in one system. I'll also use then a section to contain them, because typically we deal with multiple systems. So I'll just call this HRIS, Human Resource Information System, and then I'll map out how these things connect. So I can just mouse over these little dots and click and drag. Oh, maybe I need one more. I need a compensation module, comp. There we go. Employee module will feed to comp. Comp will feed to payroll. And this is a pretty simple, straightforward one. So I can double click on the lines to add a little bit more information. It's like text. And I'll typically do this to indicate what that integration is doing. Populating my learners. Adding employee information. Sending pay numbers. So this is one way to quickly build out some kind of system diagram. And actually, I'm going to start another poll. Chad, you don't have the little I? How? Sorry. I'm in a cloud premium. I don't think I have too much beta stuff. Interesting. Mel's got a good call out. You can lock things. So if I select this and click the little lock. Now I'm actually curious, could someone go to the recruiting module and try to unlock it? Typically I work with teams. I kind of have to force them to use a whiteboard so they're not messing with my stuff too much. So I haven't had the chance to test, does the lock prevent others from unlocking? I really would hope it does. Well, Vivian's got it, Chad, so just go work with Vivian. So we can lock it, and I would just keep building this out. Now, if I have other systems, maybe I have a whole separate system for onboarding that someone suggested. I would just draw another section and call this onboarding. And I use this section to represent a system, and then I use the things within it to represent modules within the system. Haha, I have all the power. Lock. That's not fun, though. Here, I'll unlock it. Oh, thank you, Chad. Aesthetic. That is a great question. I can do you one better, my friend. So we have all of this great information. And as a project manager, it's great that it's in a whiteboard, but we can see this thing's pretty darn huge. We can go up to the 3 dots. Did they get rid of it? Am I going blind? We can export as an image file, but we should be able to... No? Help me out, team. We were able to flip these into Confluence pages. No. Did they stuff it under Summarize? There we go. Oh. Now, if you're using Atlassian Intelligence and you summarize the whiteboard, and the whiteboard will read it and try to figure out what it's about, and then click Create Page, this will make a Confluence page both with information around it and then also embed the whiteboard. Now, it embeds it for me as an inline, but if I change this to embed, this will just be the whiteboard on the page. And you can see it's pretty giganto. We got Anonymous Seal hiding away at the top there. But even here, it's like an interactive whiteboard. I can click and drag and move around on the page itself. I use this quite a bit because it gives people, they can read what it's about, which can be very, very helpful. Again, they don't want to have to browse through all of these random icons and the little racing logos and things. So I can summarize it and create a page. And this is now something I can publish in my project that my team can go find and use. I do this a lot with stakeholders because typically the senior folks don't want to dig around within the whiteboards. So I found this a great way to make them more approachable and easier to use We've got an anonymous snowman. Oh, there it is. Whee! All right. So we can't copy and paste it. We can, however, just directly embed it. The other thing you can do if you don't have AI is copy a link to the whiteboard. And I'll open up this page, just a page at random. And I'll go to edit this. And then I can paste the link in and I'll get the same embed option. Can we copy and paste a specific section? Good question. I don't believe so offhand, my friend. Let me try. All right, I'll just copy that. And you can see it grabs the text, which is not what I'm looking for. So that is, again, a simple systems diagram, using these connectors to demonstrate the integration or how data moves, and the shapes to differentiate what's happening. You can also use different shapes to mean different things. And so I do this as well. I'll have an up triangle mean a database, and a diamond mean something else. Aesthetic, yes. Atlassian Intelligence is only available in Premium and Enterprise, so the two higher tiers of paid Confluence Cloud. Teleporting back into our slides. Again, a reminder, if you like this, please hit that little like button. It lets me and other people know that this is useful, helps other folks find it as well. We've got about 80 folks in here and about 20 likes. I would be over the moon if we could get about halfway. If we get 40 likes on this video, that would be insane. Ivan, we're going to go back into that whiteboard in a second, but could you try to rotate one and just let me know what happens? I'll encourage you to test it out. I'm going to check questions. But while I'm looking at my questions, a question for you all. How do you run your retrospectives? So this could be an agile retrospective or just a lessons learned, but how do you go back and figure out what happened during the project? How do we do better? So consider that question, and I'll look at what I've got. All right, no. Miro. Vivian, thank you, my friend. Gabrielle, if you mean, is the summary created when I push the summarize button? Yes. If you mean, will it be updated as the whiteboard changes? No. So once you hit summarize, it just grabs a snapshot, a point in time of what it looks like, and then it happens. Different ways of running retros in Miro, in Teams. Ooh, about 50-50 split on making and maintaining systems diagrams. I like making them. It's like my happy place, especially when I get to do it on a physical whiteboard. I'll point behind me like there's one back there. There isn't. But I get a lot of satisfaction over building it and creating it. And again, if you do like this content that like is helpful, you can also choose to become a channel member. And that's another great way to show your support. Our last scenario, this is time for our retrospective. And we need to track a retrospective. Now, this is a part of project management that I feel we can all do better at, myself included. We tend to think that the project is about building the thing. We're making the boat. We're deploying the website. We're planning the event. For me, really, though, the project is about improving the team. So just a general project management question. Do you regularly capture lessons learned? One way we can add to our whiteboards is through voting. So we could do this in terms of our sprint planning. We could say, hey, I need people to vote on whichever tasks you think we should do. Or we can do it on a retrospective. What's the one biggest takeaway? We should all vote. We can vote anonymously, which is interesting. So you can set this up so your team can go in and provide a vote and you don't know who votes for what. And you can limit the total number of votes any one person gets. So you might say everyone on the team gets 5 votes, and we'll see which thing gets the most. Excuse me. I've used this to help the team get consensus. This could be also something like a planning poker almost, where people vote to agree, yeah, that's worth 15 points, or yeah, it's worth 3. And so it's got some interesting other use cases beyond what's the most popular thing. And then some of you have already found the stamps. This can be a good visual indicator. If you have ideas on a whiteboard and you need people to vote visually, you could say, hey, put the thumbs up if this was a good thing that happened, a thumbs down if it's a bad thing. And then you can just see how many thumbs up or thumbs down, or however many, whatever this guy is doing. show up on each of them. It could have a particular meaning, or it could just be fun. It adds, again, a little bit of visual flair. Whoop. And that was my cue to teleport back. It's always curious to see what happens after it. What is going on here? I like how it's slanted, I guess. Okay. So I'm just going to copy and paste, and then I'll call this retrospective. In here, I'm going to use just a couple of buckets. This will be my stop doing. I made that gigantic. Maybe I don't need that so gigantic. Good. I'll just do a start, stop. Start doing, stop doing, keep doing. And right away I have a very straightforward, very simple way to do a retrospective. And again, my team can come in here and double click and start adding their ideas. What should we start doing? More ketchup chips. Keep doing, like the video. See what I did there? Stop doing, I don't know, running out of coffee. So I'd have the team come in and just start dumping stuff into this. I've also done this just on a Confluence page with shared editing. I've done this as a guided exercise. I like to give folks the ability to come in here, kind of like how you all came in here and just did whatever across the whiteboard, letting people come in and empower them to come add their own ideas. Then at some point when I'm ready, I might click this vote button, and I'll say, what are we voting on? The most impactful lesson learned. And I'll say everyone gets one vote, and I'll click start. Now, your cursors will vanish, so I don't know who is voting. But if you go over the stickies, you'll see a plus and a minus. And this will let you vote on that thing. Is this the one you're referring to, Mel? The one that you're using right now? And yes, you can. There is some other like formatting options. If you select multiple things, you can align them. So you can visually line them up more easily. When you're done voting, you just say, I am done voting. And that will tell you how many people are done. And then when you're ready to end the voting, you just click end for everybody. Someone's moving my... I can't see cursors, but I can see things moving. That's interesting. And whenever you're done voting, you just click end. Now that vote is recorded on the whiteboard, so you can click on it and see the results. So you could do multiple rounds of this, and every round just review, hey, what happened? So if I click back, I can go back to voting, and I can have another vote, and another, and another, and another, to keep refining down what I'm trying to learn and what I need to figure out. The other thing I've done is just use stamps. Again, this is a good idea. Is there a coffee? Nope, there's no coffee. Nuts. Or I've got questions. So again, different ways of getting my team visually engaged in this process instead of me just asking them, hey, Budget Gadgets, what went well? Hey, Gabrielle, what didn't go well? Because like that gets very boring and repetitive. If folks have something they can touch and feel and use and do, exactly like how you all are right now running around this whiteboard causing havoc, that's a big step up for getting them engaged and involved in the process and not just feeling like, oh, we've got to go to the retrospective, that kind of approach. All right, folks, I'm going to check for questions. Ladenka, I hope I'm saying that right. No, you're enabling voting for the whiteboard. So I can't say only the system developers on this whiteboard can vote. It's going to be everyone who's on the whiteboard. Now, what you could do is restrict access to the whiteboard to just the system developers, have them all go in, and then let them vote. That would kind of do the same thing. Oh, you've read my mind. You nailed it. All right, folks, that was the last kind of scenario. One shout out to some other work that I do is I write a lot of Udemy courses. This one that we're looking at here, this QR code, will take you to one that I've done on Confluence, and this is Confluence for everyone. This particular course is 4.5 hours long, and it'll give you all the basics I wish I had known when I started using Confluence. So this is a great starting point and a great reminder. It covers everything about being a user and everything about being a space admin. So someone who's expected to manage spaces. So please consider getting that course if you'll find it useful. Also, feel free to share it with other folks. Emily H., you're welcome. A Bite with Linda, you're welcome. In terms of next steps, please give me your feedback on if the blank for project managers is useful and I can build up more of these. Join us in Discord for just regular ongoing support and chat. The intention with the Discord is to give everyone a spot to go where they can get real-time responses and just feel a bigger sense of community and involvement with each other. Review the recording if you need to. If you're in chat live, drop your questions in the next few minutes. I'll see what I can answer. And if you're watching this recorded, comment, please. And of course, please like it if you liked it. Community.atlassian.com is also a great resource, Atlassian's official community. But also talk to other people. There are many, many, many ways to use whiteboards and to use these tools to be a better project manager. So the more people you talk to and the more you engage, the better and stronger you'll get. Mel, it's funny you ask that. I'm working on one right now for the ACA 910 that will focus on that content. I have live learnings Mondays and Fridays on specific Atlassian certifications. Right now on Mondays, I'm doing the 520 org admin, and on Fridays, I'm doing, see you, Jonathan, JSM, Jira Service Management. But I'm building out more, so as time goes, Mel, I'll have more of these. Vivian, I appreciate the shout out. Would appreciate a like. We're sitting at about, what do we have? 28 likes, which is pretty good considering we got 75 people. I'm going to take a look and just see what questions I might have missed. So please keep dropping your questions in. We still have a few minutes. Ladenka, I don't believe you can have 3 answers. It's either you vote or you don't vote. So it's either it's a vote or nothing, instead of like a vote down. Grab a screenshot of these questions. Oh, hit 30 likes. Amazing. And the vast majority of us regularly capture lessons learned. That is great to see. All right, I want to thank you all for joining me learning about whiteboards in Confluence, especially for project management. Please go get hands-on. Please go practice with it. Please go play with it because it's a great tool if you're using Confluence. And it's something that I, as a project manager, have found very useful because it exists in the system. I don't have to get licenses for it. We just have it. So thank you all again. Appreciate you joining me. Be on the lookout for more. And I'm really looking forward to seeing you in another one of these again soon. And right before I go, maybe I'll go take a look at that whiteboard. So stick around and we'll see what this anonymous whiteboard looks like now. Oh, we got something. What's floating on down here? Oh, one little dot. Oh, wow. Well, great job collaborating, team. I don't know what we made, but it looks great. We've got an upside down fire triangle. What's wrong with curling? Oh, something's going on down here. A little bit of planning. My systems map now has 2 people, I guess. All right. Well, thanks again all. Again, please like the video if you liked it. I'm looking forward to seeing you all again soon. And thank you for, again, helping me build a Udemy whiteboard. Have a great week wherever you are, and I'll see you all again.